Exclamation, everybody, and welcome back to Cube Ramblings. Oh, it is for me Saturday night. It's very late, actually, much later than I normally record these, so it's going to be a little bit of a rough editing session ahead of me. Saturday night, April the 19th. You'll be seeing this, obviously, on Sunday the 20th. And for those of you who celebrate it, have a happy Easter. To those of you who don't, happy Sunday. And so many things I want to tackle today. As usual, have a lot to talk about, and a lot of stuff going on, and big conundrum for me for some things that are going on. First of all, as usual, behind on the on the videos. I am still managing to get one out a day, which is what I want. I was planning on getting out 3 today, but that's just not going to happen now. It's after 10 o'clock right now, and I need to edit this video and get it ready to go for tomorrow. So it's just not going to happen. There's not going to be 3 today. But this week, Ethereum has finally come out for sale. The full version, the full release, on Steam and Desora, and also you can get the independent installer, that the developer has made. Developer is encouraging people to buy the Steam and Desora versions, though, because those will be more up to date. If you use the regular installer that he has, it won't do regular updates like patch updates. You'll have to actually uninstall and download the whole program again. So you probably just want to suck it up and get it on Steam or Desora. I have keys for both, actually, because I backed it on Kickstarter. I am using it on Desora, though, because that is the one that had all the betas to this point, because they were only recently green-lit on Steam, so that's why the Steam is a little bit behind, but it's all the same version now, so not a big deal there. So that is, I had recorded that first episode a couple weeks ago, almost a month ago, when they announced that they were going to be coming out on this week on the 15th. So I was there were a few changes that happened between that release candidate and the final release. Nothing major, nothing big, just a few bug fixes and maybe a different UI, some more help tips in the UI. Not a big deal, but it did cause my save game to not be compatible, which again wasn't a big deal because I only played the first couple missions up to when I get onto the Canopus. So just a little bit earlier today, I went and made sure I had the full release now and played up to that point again off camera. Made all the same decisions I made on camera, and and now I'm ready to go and continue the recording continue the Let's Play with the full released version, which is terrific. And that, for those wondering, that is going to take the Tuesday time slot that I have. Star Crusader is going to move to the weekend. In fact, I might start putting it up tomorrow or today when you're watching this. I might start doing Star Crusader on Sundays. We'll see. It's going to join the ranks of a few other things like FTL and Out There, which I'm hoping if I can manage it, I'm hoping to get some Out There recorded just after this, after I do some editing and everything else and get this ready to go. So we'll have that going, and FTL just went up today as well, episode 2 of that. I'm still going along with that. Again, don't know what the end game is going to be on that. We'll see. I'll probably just see as far as I can go, get as far as I can go, and then it might just turn into sort of an occasional series, and that's probably going to be the name of the game for me for a while here. So I'm going to have a lot of these occasional series, and I don't know how it's going to work out so well. I don't know if it's going to work out well or not. But given that, because my biggest concern is that I only do one video a week for each individual series. So Minecraft is usually only one video a week unless I do a special video like a collab or something like that. And Star Crusader and everything else, all the other stuff that I do. Wing Commander was actually what I was intending to get out tonight, but I don't have it edited, and again, it's getting late, and I need to edit this, and I need to record some more stuff, so that's probably not going to go out tonight. Hopefully I can get something out for that, or get some more of that edited and ready to go for next week, maybe. But that will also be, since that's more of an occasional series as well, that will also be on the weekends. I'm getting to a point where I'm having maybe 3 episodes Saturdays and Sundays, and then 1 episode during the week. On occasion, I can do more than 1 episode on the week, but it's not something I can do every day or all the time, because it's just my scheduling and the fact that I work full time, and I just don't have that kind of time to go and do that stuff. I have time to play stuff and get stuff recorded, but I don't always have time to edit it or keep up with it enough that I can do it consistently. And speaking of recording and editing and all that stuff, I taking a little page from Captain Tin 100's playbook. I released this week the video that I recorded last Sunday, of how I do my recordings, how I do my Let's Plays, and my hardware setup, and how I do editing. Basically a moment in the life of Memory League Death, of how I do things. I tried to make it as straightforward and succinct as I possibly could, but since I go through a lot of steps, it ended up being about an hour and 20 minutes, because I started just trying to go into depth of the reasons why I do certain things. It's pretty long, and I didn't cover everything. There's quite a few pieces of it that I sort of left out. Like, I didn't go too in depth about live streaming, like all the different applications I run while I'm live streaming, like HexChat and VLC for if I'm playing music and all that kind of stuff. So there's plenty of room there for additional questions and potential for follow-up videos if I ever really want to do one. I'm pretty much going to leave that to, if there's any additional questions that come up in the comments or on Twitter or whatnot, then I'll do a follow-up. But other than that, I'll kind of just let it sit and rest for a little bit. I'm actually considering potentially posting it on Reddit under our Let's Play and see what kind of interesting response I get from it. I suspect that it will either get completely ignored, or I'll get a bunch of angry responses about how it's too long and boring. Which is fine. I mean, I fully intend that going through, that's probably what's going to happen. One of those two things. So hopefully the more positive of the ones happens. So I'm considering it. We'll see. I might do it. I might not. It really comes down to whether or not what kind of mood for feedback I'm in, because that's one of the weird things about the R Let's Play subreddit, is that you get a lot of people on there who are looking, actively looking for feedback, and I have never. Because of that, you have a lot of people who are waiting to give feedback, and the thing is, it's not that I don't value the feedback, it's that I am not necessarily going to do anything about it. Because the way I run my channel really is, the way I look at it is, I make videos that I want to watch. And I actually do watch my own videos. I mean, it sounds weird to say that because obviously I'm editing them, so I'm watching them that time. But I mean, I actually go back and watch full rendered videos that I've done in the past, and I enjoy them. I really do. Like at least once a week, I'll sit down and just go through my renders folder, which has all my fully rendered footage that has most of it's been uploaded to YouTube already. And I'll just sit there and I'll just pick something and go, hey, you know, I kind of want to watch that again. And it's just, granted, I'm just watching myself, but which might sound a little vain, I guess, in a certain way. But the reality of the situation is, I try to make videos that I myself would actually sit down and watch. If not watch the video, at least listen to it in the background, like say this podcast here. You may not necessarily care for Cube World. You may not necessarily want to watch me grind these mobs into a fine paste, but it's something that you can maybe have running on in the background while you're doing something else, like, you know, mining in Minecraft or something like that, you know, or cleaning house or God knows what else. So that's kind of why I do this. It's also I would say cathartic, and that's sort of the way I approach my every Let's Play I do. Is that it is a very you might be asking, like, why put it up on YouTube if all you're doing is making videos for yourself? And the reality is, it's bonus. It's icing on the cake if other people enjoy my videos. So that's kind of why I do it. But at the same time, it forces me to do it for real, if you will. It's like a live fire exercise, right? It's like, why does the military do live fire exercises every once in a while? Because they are actually useful. You know what I mean? It's useful to actually have a real threat for a change, and you know, have, instead of having it's like a dress rehearsal, I guess you could say, except it's even more realistic than that. And that's sort of the way I approach all things here. So it's doing the podcast and everything like this. It helps me just to, I feel good. Like I enjoy it, and it just helps me, you know, do something other than just kind of sit here and waste away. Just watching TV or whatever. Which I haven't actually watched TV in ages. It's all been internet and all that stuff. Why did I even go off on that tangent? I don't even know. I don't even know anymore. just on some random tangents here. This is why I call it Cube Ramblings, because I just find these random tangents and just keep on trucking right on through them. It's so I did my normal Friday live stream. I actually cut it short because I was extremely tired. I also got a little bit frustrated because I was playing Deus Ex and I keep forgetting to quick save. I know I should quick save, and I keep forgetting to do it. And I got about an hour's worth of work done in Deus Ex, and then died, and then lost it all. And I was like, well, I'm gonna end it right now because that was frustrating. But yeah, I just have to get back into that and have to really have to remember that when I'm doing that. When I'm doing the Deus Ex streaming and all that stuff. But before we go too far here, we have some actual Cube World news. Wally tweeted out on the 15th some more information about the upcoming Quest system that he's working on. Now you recall that the last update that we had, which was actually back in January, he talked about how there were going to be quest givers, and there are going to be icons on your map, and they would all show up, and then you would just go there, and each icon would have, the different icons would stand for different quests, and then there'd be one major quest in every biome, which would take you to multiple places, and then you could go around there, and each individual hop of it would involve something. That has changed from what it looks like. There's still going to be quests. They're going to be there's not going to be any quest givers. It's going to be more of a. It's going to be less, as Walleye said, less MMO style questing, and more just exploration. So the idea is going to be you'd go around the world, you'd explore the world, you'll run across things in the world like you do now, and they'll have exclamation marks over them if they're quests based, and then you just as soon as you attack that enemy, you've accepted that quest, and then you continue on from there. You have there's going to be a separate quest loot bag for quest items, so that will show up in the menu, and NPCs and stuff will still be in the game, but they won't actually give you the quest. They will give you hints as to where to go to find the quest. And also, on top of all that, the whole quest marker thing, and in fact all the markers on the map, from what I understand, are going to be going away. And it's going to be, in order to find things, you have to use signposts. There are going to be signposts in the land along the way, and you can read them, and then that will tell you what's coming up along the road. So that's an interesting change. It does put the focus more on exploration rather than quest grinding, although there still will be quite a bit of grinding, I would imagine. So it's an interesting choice. I have to see it, I guess, to really fully grasp it, because it sounds a lot like exactly what we have right now, which is you just kind of walk around and find stuff, and then from there you can get, like for instance, right now I'm in Saron Palace, and I just have, this one happens to have a quest around it, which says defeat the ruler, and to be honest though, I did know to go here because there were crossed swords out on the map, and it sounds like that kind of treatment's going to go away. So I won't know if something has a quest until I actually go in there and find the quest enemy, or I guess the quest item. It sounds like it's just going to be quest enemies. Although Wally had tweeted the last time around that there would be different quest types. Like it wouldn't all be killing enemies. It would be like it is now. It would be find this place, or gather this item, or take this NPC, travel with this NPC from one place to another, that kind of thing. And it sounds like that's still the case because we're getting a quest bag for quest items, but I don't know how that appears in the world, because again, the contradictory tweet after that was that since there won't be any quest givers, you have to actually go and find these enemies with exclamation points above their head. And if they're enemies, you would think that all the quests would be just kill them. So I don't know if it's you have to defeat them and then they tell you, oh, now that you've bested me, go find this thing, or I don't know yet. It's kind of vague. There were tweets there that were kind of contradicting one another as far as the information is concerned. There was also he had several images along with all the text to try to illustrate it a little bit better. And one of the images actually showed off a tower, a spire of some kind, which would be a new dungeon type that you can find along the world. And of course that goes hand in hand with the fact that there's going to be smaller biomes, and there's a couple more biomes being introduced, and it's what else? The couple more biomes, and also the UI treatments. There's going to be scalable UI, which hopefully will help with some of my problems here that I'm running at 720p, and also rebindable keys. So hopefully all that is still in there. We haven't heard anything about it since then, so I'm assuming that it is. So yeah, some more information came down, some more changes. It sounds like Wally hasn't quite decided exactly how the quests are going to be, because obviously he's still changing them and figure out what works and what doesn't work. Which signals to me why it's taking a long time to get the update out, because it sounds like Wally's implementing stuff and then looking at it and going, yeah, you know what, this isn't really what I want. And it sounds like he really wants to get it right before he releases. And there's benefits and there's drawbacks to that. The benefits to that is that people get a more consistent look at the game. The game is perceived to be a little bit more stable. You're not constantly forcing a wipe, like say Starbound, where they're still changing. They still haven't quite decided on what their quest system's going to be or all that stuff. So they're going through, they're trying a few things, and then they're wiping as they go and all that stuff. So from that perspective, it is more consistent. But at the same time, you kind of do want to see something at some point. It's like at some point you got to say, okay, it's time to release something and see what the community thinks about it. Assuming that the community doesn't complain about various things that they've been complaining about, and actually takes the time to have constructive feedback. So that's, I mean, it's neither here nor there. This is a known pattern. So hopefully we'll get a release or an update soon. It sounds like perhaps we're at maybe iteration 2 or 3 of his questing system, which is usually about the time when something will get released. Just from my experience as a as a programmer, by the third time you've designed something, you pretty much are bound to release something and just see how it works or doesn't work, and just see how the players play it, or the users in my case use it, and if they don't use it, then it's completely wrong and you need to go back to the drawing board. So that is all of the information that has been released thus far, or all the most recent information has been released for the Cube World updates that are coming down. So I'm excited. I can't wait. I'm hoping like everybody else that we get it gets into our hands sooner rather than later, and we can start playing with it. I don't know what I'm going to do with my world though. I intended to actually go and just start a new world because the biomes are going to be a lot smaller. I'd probably start a new character as well, just to see what the level progression's like from level 1 again, and see if that has improved at all. But at the same time, I'm really attached to my current character, and I'm really attached to this current world because we've done so much in it, and I feel kind of bad about sort of abandoning it. So, but it's too early for me to make a decision yet, because nothing's in my hands yet, and I don't know what the backwards compatibility is going to look like. So we'll just roll with what we got so far, and then I'll make a decision when it comes time to do so. So that is where we stand with that. Do a quick Kickstarter update here. Pop-Up Dungeon. I mentioned this last episode. They're up to $26,981 out of the $80,000 that they're looking for. They have 28 days left, so still plenty of time for them to gain some traction. It is basically what it sounds like. It is a top-down, it's not top-down, it's a 3D RPG done in a sort of pen and paper style, but it's all pop-up stuff, so it looks like paper. It's like papercraft type of deal, and it's got the idea is you're a player character in a world that has been turned into paper by a wizard, and you have to go and try to defeat the wizard. And it's got, win or lose. You get these sort of charms at the end that help you with your next run through it. So it's got sort of the I guess sort of a roguelike feel to it from time to time. And of course it's permadeath, so as soon as you die, that's it. The game's over. You gotta start over again from square one. But again, there's those charms and whatnot to help you along the way, to give you different gameplay experience the next time around. One of the really exciting things that they announced this week, though, is that they're going to do a full-on Dungeon Master mode. So, and this was always a thing that, I remember all the excitement that used to be around Neverwinter Nights, and there probably is still a community out there that's still playing Neverwinter Nights to this day. That was the Dungeons and Dragons RPG game back in the day, and taking place in Forgotten Realms, 3rd edition rules, all that stuff. It's that had a Dungeon Master mode in it where you could build these custom maps and have your friends come online, and then one of you was designated the Dungeon Master, and you could just do sort of like a pen and paper thing where you could create your own story and affect the world around the other players and all that stuff. Same deal here, only there's it's got more I guess mechanics around it to give it a little bit more of a feel, a little bit more of a twist, a little bit more of a everybody's playing a game, including the Dungeon Master. So what I mean by that is the Dungeon Master mode allows you to choose whatever tile set you want your players to be in, the general population, like how many enemies they're going to face, and what types, the various clutter, which is props and whatnot, tables and all that stuff that's usually destructible around the world, the size of the level, and of course the theme. Everything, all the props and all the sets of the level can follow some sort of theme, like a castle or a dungeon or whatever else. Now, and here's where I say that it goes from being just a simple Dungeon Master to being everybody is playing the game, so including the Dungeon Master. So in this case, the Dungeon Master, there is no AI in the game. The Dungeon Master takes control of all the enemies as soon as they get into battle. So when the players are going through and they're attacking enemies, they're actually fighting another player. They're fighting the Dungeon Master himself. He's taking over all the enemies and trying to best the players, or at least give them a challenge. And in so doing all this, the Dungeon Master also still has some powers on the story, and those powers are linked to the player's actions. So there's this concept of fate that the Dungeon Master uses. It's a pool. There's three sub pools under it that all go into this pool of fate that then the Dungeon Master uses to sort of spends it like it's money, like it's currency, to affect the world in such a way to make it harder or easier for the players. So there's 3 different pools that contribute to this fate mechanic. There's a salvation, which is gained when players suffer damage or are defeated, or they progress very quickly through your dungeon that you've set up. Torment is gained when players defeat enemies, every time they defeat an enemy, and Tribute is gained whenever players defeat enemies or challenges that you have set up, and I'll get into that in a minute. So these 3 pools all go into this, are all considered fate, and then the Dungeon Master spends that fate to, as I said, change the world around the players. And here's how that's done. If the Dungeon Master spends salvation, they can do it through various ways. Salvation will allow you to either kill or weaken enemies, heal, resurrect, or strengthen players. So you can sort of use it one way or the other there to try to tailor the challenge to the player's level. Torment allows you to basically spawn in the challenges that I was talking about, where you can bring in sort of these little mini challenges and make enemies like you can spawn enemies, strengthen them, or teleport them to the players, or you can damage or put restrictions on the players, some kind of magical restrictions or what have you. Maybe silence them so that magic users can't cast spells or something of that nature. And then tribute allows you to just grant them XP, grant the players XP, gold, or items. And then of course all those pools, once you've spent that, you can't do it again. But until the players do something that allows you to gain more of that fate back. So it's like a currency system, as I mentioned. All that sounds freaking awesome. I mean, it goes from being a strictly tabletop thing to being everybody, as I said, everybody is playing the game, including the dungeon master, and also creating a story for themselves. So that sounds fantastic. I'm excited for this. I hope that they get some more publicity so that they can actually get through their Kickstarter and we can actually see this thing in action. The nice thing is, there was this week another batch of greenlit titles. 75 titles, 75 games were greenlit on Steam this week on the 16th, and Pop-Up Dungeon was one of them. So at the very least, they can get onto Steam, and I'm hoping that they get through their Kickstarter and are able to do everything that they need to do with the game, because I'm really excited for it. I'm hoping that I can get to play it and see it. So, speaking of greenlit titles, since we were on that subject, there was as I mentioned a little bit earlier, a new batch of 75 titles greenlit this week on the 16th, and I have my trusty tablet here to let me go through the list here. I'm not going to talk about all of them because a lot of them I don't know anything about. I'm just going to pick off the ones from the list here that I kind of have looked at or know something about. So we'll start here with the Ballads of Remus When the Bed Bites. Now, I played the Remus games. These are point and click games with cartoony graphics. They're kind of in the style of the Monkey Island series back in the day. It's it's got the comedy stylings and all that stuff of it. I played these back on Congregate back in the day. They were all like flash games, and it looks like they have a brand new game that they're actually putting out on Steam here in that same series. So it's the Ballads of Remus When the Bed Bites. So any of you out there who have played that before, it might be something to look at. The Baron Wittert Nemesis of Ragnarok. I just took a real quick look at this just to see what the hell it was, because it's just listed as a first-person exploration adventure game, and it's basically Outlast is what it is. It's a horror game. It's you got a camera, you got a torch, amnesia-ish, that kind of thing. So if you're into that, that is something you might want to look at. Let's see what else on here. Cult of the Wind. This is one that I actually saw an article on. I don't remember where I saw it. Maybe Indie Static. I don't know. I read an article somewhere about it, but it's it's a airplane shoot 'em up, except instead of airplanes, it's actual people running around pretending to be airplanes, with their hands outstretched, and but it's got all the same like dogfighting mechanics and stuff. It's it's as crazy as it sounds. It's probably something for a good laugh, or perhaps there would be some good gameplay stuff in there. I don't know, but it just caught me as something hilarious, and it's been greenlit, so that'll be something to look for, I guess, if you're into that. What else do we have on here that I know something about? Hero Generations. No, I don't know anything about that. Here we go. Neon Excesses. I mentioned this a long time ago. It's a game that I found on IndieDB. I have the demo for it. I've had it for ages, and it's I haven't played it yet because every time I try to get into it to play it, the controls just freak out, and I can't, for some reason. It just spins in place. It has the same problem that Wings of Saint Nazar have for me, where the controls are just something's wrong with the controls, and that's why I haven't played it yet. Hopefully I can dig into it again. Maybe there's an updated demo, and actually play for you guys and see it. It's a sci-fi. Basically, you're a computer virus, or you're an antivirus or something like that, and you're going through and trying to kill all the viruses as they're in the computer. And it's very it's like 6 Degrees of Freedom flying, so it's very similar to Descent, the Descent series of games. So that's why it caught my attention. So you might want to take a look at that. Obviously, Pop-Up Dungeon, as we mentioned before, on here. I looked at Positron as well. It's a light cycle game with additional modes, so it is very, very inspired by Tron, and very, very inspired by all the light cycle games that were out there. But in addition to the light cycle mode that we all know and love, where there's a cyber wall behind you, and you try to kill the other players with it, there's also a maze, randomly generated mazes feature in it, where you can just go through a single player and just try to get yourself through the maze as quickly as possible, find the end point of it. So a couple other game modes that have been added to it. So that might be something you want to look at as sort of a diversion, if you will, that you might jump into from time to time. And what else on here do I know something about? That's pretty much all of it, as far as I can tell. So again, that was another batch of 75. Also, as far as the release calendar goes here, we got a couple more things coming up that I know about. It was just announced. You know that I did a side quest video on Adventurer Manager. Well, they just announced that they are coming out, I believe, to Steam, if I remember correctly. I forgot to write that down, but I believe they're coming on to Steam. They're going to be available for purchase, like early access purchase, on the 23rd. So that is awesome. I'll be definitely buying into that and getting my access. I believe it's going to be $5, so it'll be early access. And I want to still want to fire up the series on that. It's going to be an occasional series because my time constraints, but I do intend on jumping back into that and doing some more stuff on that, because that was a lot of fun. It's a neat concept, and it's very tongue-in-cheek in what it does. And speaking of tongue-in-cheek, Tesla Effect, a Tex Murphy story, is going to be out on the 22nd, and I already have that pre-ordered, so I will be probably doing some recordings of that. Again, it'll be a once-in-a-while series until I can clear up some of my schedule with some of these other things. I'm hoping to get a bunch of stuff recorded for Ethereum or whatnot, and just get a bunch of videos done, and then I can find the time to record more and really pack in the videos into my schedule here. So that is a thing. And also, The Last Federation came out this week. I just purchased that, and I was actually playing it this morning to try to get used to it, to figure out how it works. So expect some videos on that as well. That is a grand strategy game, which I am terrible, absolutely terrible at grand strategy games. I tried playing AI War, which is also by Arcane Games, who also did The Last Federation here, and just couldn't get into it. I just suck so bad at it. So expect me to suck badly at The Last Federation too, as well. So I think that'll about do it for this episode. It's a little bit shorter than what I normally do, but I don't know. It's about 40 minutes, I guess. So thanks for watching, everybody. And I will see you next week.